And welcome to 20 Meter Restart Agree to Disagree Rugby League podcast. I'm your host, Ra, along with Hoons and Nick. Good morning, boys.
Good morning.
Scores, round 8, 24-8. Dragons against the Roosters. Storm defeated the Warriors 50-10. Rabbitohs lost to the Broncos 24-20. Seagulls lost to the Knights 18-12. Panthers defeated the Bulldogs 22-14. Titans lost by 1 point against the Sharks 10-9. Cowboys lost at home against the Raiders 18-8. And the Eels defeated the West Tigers 24-22. I'll start with you, Hoons. Which team impressed you the most?
Well, Ra, it's good to have you back on this podcast. But the team that impressed me the most was the Melbourne Storm. I've got to give those guys credit because credit is due. And as usual, the Melbourne Storm are starting to grind through the season and solidifying themselves as the premiership favourites. They destroyed the Warriors 50-10. Billy Slater was unbelievable as the champion fullback he is. Cameron Smith, an immortal in waiting. That's how great that guy was from the ruck. I felt like the Storm just controlled the game from the get-go, especially after I think the 18th minute onwards. It was just a one-horse race, and it was quite disappointing to see the Warriors drop a game like that. You know, they've had some tough games and some great games as well this season, but the Melbourne Storm so clinical. That's just Craig Bellamy magic, baby. That's it. And you just got to hand it to them. They are starting to hit the fork. You know, they're starting to hit their straps and get ready to rumble for the season. And by all means, they should be the favourites.
I'd have to say, I know it's a little biased, but the Broncos. I think going into that game, they weren't particularly favourites, and you know, there a lot of questions surrounding the team following the loss. But I think they came out, they impressed. You know, Rabbitohs have proven they're in form. They're really hitting their stride, but they still weren't enough for the Broncos. And it's refreshing to see the Broncos still competing at that sort of top level. You know, they can still take on top teams, right? Yeah, they're inconsistent and it's still a work in progress, but it's still a really positive sign to see them play like that and defeat a really informed team. So for me, Broncos.
All right, now let's move north to the border. To North Queensland. Let's talk about them for now. They were put as premiership favourites, as one of the premiership favourites for this year, but they have lost again, and this time to the Raiders at home. Nick, here's a great question for you, mate. What's wrong with the Cowboys, and are they in trouble?
They're definitely in trouble. I think watching them play and still reading about them, I can't pinpoint anything in particular. I know I pointed out a few weeks ago I thought it was a lack of chemistry between Morgan and Thurston, still, you know, working around each other following Thurston's absence last year. But I think that's no longer the case. I think there's deeper issues involved there, and I can't seem to put my finger on what the problem is, but it is very serious, and the team needs a big shake-up. I'm not sure whether it'll be Brad Arthur's fire-up speech or whether it'll be a few positional and roster changes. But look, I can't.
You mean Paul Green, right?
Paul Green, sorry. I can't pinpoint anything. I really can't. It's just, it seems to be widespread. So I think just big changes and soon would be my only suggestion for them. I can't even suggest the changes.
Yep, thanks for your input, Nick. Now the real Cowboy supporter will talk, and yeah, all I want to say is that I've been disappointed, highly disappointed. The Cowboys, I think you're right, man. We've been talking about all the potential problems from the Cowboys so far all season, and we can't pinpoint exactly what it is. You know what? To me now, it just seems like an attitude problem, where maybe it did get to their heads. where they were premiership favourites, or we done it without Thurston and Scott, so we made the grand final. We don't need those guys. You know, and I don't see them working for one another as much as they used to in the past. I think off air we were just talking about maybe they've lost a step, a yard or two, you know. So I'm just highly disappointed. I just can't understand why the team has not gelled, considering this team's been together for at least a good 4 or 5 years. It's so disappointing, man. And Ra, I'll hand it back to you because there's nothing else more I could say on this matter.
Hoons, in your opinion, has JT played 1 year too long, like the critics say?
No, I don't think so. I think that you can never discount a future immortal. We all know that he's going to be an immortal. I feel like that the team as a whole has not functioned well. You can't just pinpoint JT saying that he's played 1 year too long. I think I still watch their games and I still see JT doing the trademark things that he usually does in games anyway. The things that he brings to a side, the never give up attitude, the competitor that he is. He's always there, and his ball playing ability is still one of the best in the NRL. So with that question, right? No, I don't think JT's played a year too long. I think it's actually the team's attitude has to change, and hopefully, like Nick said, actually, is that Paul Green can get them, say something to them, to get them back on track because they're going to have to, although they're out for the season. I think maybe 3 more losses, and I'll call it that they won't make the finals for the first time in 7-8 years.
Well, I just want to question you a little bit there, Hoon. So you said that JT's still there with his attitude and his mentality. So then,
yes.
Where does the complacency come in there? Why is the rest of the team slacking off then? Do you think anyway?
I think it's like we were talking about. We can't pinpoint exactly where it's from, but watching JT play, you can still see the hunger and desire that he brings to the Cowboys, where even in his ball playing abilities, he still does the little things correct. But it seems like I honestly, my feelings now with the team is that I think that the team, most of the players think that they're beyond JT. That's what I actually think. Maybe they don't respect him as much as they used to in the past. I know that's a controversial call, but watching them play, it's like that what JT has provided them in the past does no longer factor after the fact that Morgan's took them to the grand final. Maybe that's what we're not seeing behind closed doors. Maybe JT is starting to not have that respect, and maybe people are trying to look at Morgan, where I still believe that if that was the case, then why isn't Morgan stepping up to the forefront? JT's already stated at the start of the season that he's chucking them the keys. He's finally handing over the reins. But I in those games, I still don't see Morgan taking that lead because he has to take charge. And you've noticed that, even I think you would notice that some players are around JT have not functioned as well as they used to maybe 2 years ago. I think some players, I think maybe it is an attitude problem there. And that's my thoughts on it.
That was a fantastic response. That was exactly what I was looking for.
Yeah, thanks, man.
Well, excellent. Now we'll move south to the Broncos. Nick, they're going well at the moment, but do you still believe that Jack Bird and Anthony Milford combination in halves should be the Broncos' halves for this year?
Well, look, see, I'd say it's more successful than Cody and Milford have been this year. But at the same time, I don't think they're exactly right. I think, once again, as we had a discussion off the mics, it was they're both running halves. They're both aggressive when they've got the ball, and that sort of, as much as that's a really positive aspect in a half, it can be pretty detrimental to have both of them as running halves. So Whether someone else is to come into the equation there, I don't think I love Cody on the bench right now. I'm loving him coming on, making an impact like that because, as proven in the last couple of weeks, he's been very effective there. Very effective. So I would still say keep Cody on the bench, but maybe start looking at other aspects for halves. I don't know what kind of depth the squad has, and that's why I can't give any names. But look, it's been successful, and it's definitely better than Milford Cody. So you keep it for the next few weeks at least. And I would love to see Cody on the bench. As we said last week, I'm loving the fire in his belly. I'm loving the bit of fight he has now. Seems to be bringing out the best in him, fighting for his position. So, look, I'm not sure. Not sure what else to add.
Yeah, you know what? As a coach, I would look at different aspects like that, but the Cody coming off the bench has actually helped the Broncos, especially with X-factor qualities. I think that's what we both were talking about too, was that Cody would come on, but the hunger and desire to earn his position back. And although Jack Bird and Anthony Milford have won games, we've noticed that Cody has come on and made such an impact that the Broncos have either, with the Melbourne Storm game, for example, they lost that game, but the Broncos had fight. And Cody provided a lot of the spark as well. When he came on that field, he changed the game.
Without Cody, it would have been a whitewash.
That's right. So the momentum switched. And it was only, and we did have mentioned it, was that Milford's heroics, and then his, he went from hero to zero in 4 or 5 minutes. And that was the play that turned the momentum back to the Storm. So we know that Cody can provide the spark. Then you have 2 running halves, which is Jack Bird, Anthony Milford, and we would say probably Cody's probably more running than a passer first, but he's shown us, like you said, Nick, the hunger and desire to be that ball player that the Broncos need. The only thing I'm going to question is their kicking game. That's it. But if they can win games, then so be it. Congratulations to the Bronx.
Yeah, just on the note, guys, does this mean that Wayne Bennett has to search a half from outside? Nick?
Look, I'd probably say yes. I mean, I wouldn't mind a ball playing half as another option in the squad as opposed to the 3 running halves. But once again, I wouldn't have any suggestions as to who to buy. I imagine the Broncos are already pushing their salary cap for every cent it's worth. So, look, I would suggest go for another half, but I can't say who, and I can't offer any value to that argument.
Yeah, because I think the biggest thing is who's on the market or who wants to move from particular sides. We're seeing that maybe at the Seagulls, Jackson Hastings, who can play in the half, but I just see him more in the light of a second-tier player that the Broncos don't really need when Cody, Jack Bird, and Anthony Milford, to be honest, is way better than them. So, I can't think. Well, maybe if there was a Sean Johnson up for grabs or something like that, Broncos will open up their arms for them. But yeah. I can't see any sevens out there.
Yeah.
Right?
Well, moving from the Broncos into the international stage. The Kiwis had a few applicants that applied for it, but Des Hasler and Jeff Tuvey both dropped out because they want desires with trying to get an NRL coaching job. But that leaves Laurie Daly and Michael Maguire. Out of those 2 high prominent people or coaches, which one should get the job? Hoons, start with you.
For the Kiwis job, well, obviously I'm a huge Kiwis fan. I am a Kiwi. And to be honest, I like Michael Maguire's style of coaching, but I would love Laurie Daly as the New Zealand Kiwis coach. That guy, what he's done for not only State of Origin on the State of Origin level, but as a player and a well-respected player. And what I've seen with him in Origin level coaching, he can bring out the best of a lot of players. And yes, he wasn't successful in Origin, but at least he's won a series. Because all the other New South Wales coaches that haven't won the series during that tenure of that domination.
And we're talking about people like Craig Bellamy.
Exactly, Craig Bellamy. So, people like that haven't won an Origin game or series. They've won Origin games, but not the series in particular. That's still an achievement to beat a great Queensland side. So, I always looked at New South Wales and the Kiwis that I always felt like if the Kiwis were at full strength, we would beat New South Wales anyway. So, Queensland would be a different matter because look at their champions, and that's the thing that the Kiwis had to compete with as well, just as much as New South Wales. We had to compete with the great players of Queensland during the Australian Kangaroos era, and we were quite successful with Stephen Kearney. But when we took a back step with David Kildwell as the coach, you've seen how far back the Kiwis were. We lost to 2 Tier 2 nations last year at the World Cup. And for me, as being a lifelong Kiwis fan, that's unacceptable. Because we've set a high standard. Stephen Kearney is actually, I didn't agree with most of Stephen Kearney's coaching tenure, but he was successful. 2008 Rugby League World Cup. 2010 Four Nations. Lost the 2013 Rugby League World Cup, but won the 2014 Four Nations, and then won the 2015 Anzac Test, which solidified the Kiwis as world number one Test team. And then David Kildwell to unravel all that hard work that we've done to try and close that gap. I hope Laurie Daly can bring that. Like Laurie Daly, he's a fighter. He's a champion player. He's a champion guy, champion bloke, and I think it'll do him wonders to do something different for himself to coach the Kiwis and lead them to something, because we still have elite players in our ranks just as much as Australia does, and we just need that inspirational guy to take us to the next level and regain some honour that we lost. Yeah, and that's my thoughts, right?
Nick, how about you, man? It would be good to see an Australian's perspective on it.
As an outsider, I do agree with Hearns' points there. As much as Michael Maguire, he does have a nice coaching style. He wouldn't be a bad option. You can't overlook Laurie Daly. I mean, to break that Queensland Origin cycle was phenomenal. That's one of the biggest coaching, or one of the biggest things any coach could have done in that era. So, look, his track record's there.
And I think we both agree, Nick, is that we don't want to discredit Michael Maguire because he did bring a premiership to South Sydney, exactly. Which is like the first in how many years? Many years. Mm. Yeah. So carry on.
Yeah. And so look, I think it's a little unfair on Laurie that he didn't get another year for New South Wales. I think him coaching a side without Thurston and Cronk, coaching against a side without Thurston and Cronk would have been really interesting. I think that would have given him a bit more of an opportunity to prove himself. But obviously, he's gone now. They're not getting him back, and if he's not at a club team, love to see him in New Zealand. Definitely the better option there.
Well, you heard it from the guys. Could go either way. Michael Maguire, Laurie Daly, high prominent coaches. Let's see which way New Zealand goes. Now moving on to our tips for the week. Round 9. The boys did all right. Did you guys do all right? And for round 8 tips?
I think so. Was it 5 or?
Yeah, we would have been close to 5 or 6. Maybe 5. I'll say 5.
We got the Rabbitohs wrong. We got the Titans wrong. 4.
Okay, 4. Half. Yeah, 50%, boys? Well, let's try and get at least to 80, 100% for this week. And let's start off. Hoons, Broncos, Bulldogs on Thursday. Who's got it?
I'm really liking where the Broncos are going. The Broncos, I was saying it off air to Nick, I was actually giving his team a lot of credit, because they're just a team that are so professional, a professional franchise, and they just know how to win games when it matters the most. And I believe at Suncorp Stadium, They won't lose to the Bulldogs, and I will be tipping the Bronx.
Awesome. Next game, Friday night, Knights versus Rabbitohs, and I will be going for the Knights with an upset. It'll be an upset game. But they're at home, and Kalen Ponga is doing this thing. But also those young guns, and they still got experience in there. Mitchell Pearce is a huge loss, though. Don't get it wrong, Mitchell Pearce is a huge loss. But Kalen Ponga just proved last week that he can also step up to the plate.
I just want to challenge you there, though. Do you reckon Sea Eagles are on the same level as Rabbitohs, though? I'd say...
And with GI and Dangogo in the centre.
Exactly. I'd say Sea Eagles in their little damaged culture right now, in their damaged state, we're a pretty weak team. So, I mean, without Mitchell Pearce, obviously...
But then I did see that they just fall off the train without Sam Burgess there. If Sam Burgess was there, I would have definitely gave them a nod. But, they're a bit iffy in the middle sometimes. And Kalen Ponga, well, we know he can destroy the middle.
Okay.
So
I challenge you, you stood by it. Well done.
Yep.
Fair reasoning.
Okay. Moving on. Panthers versus the Cowboys at Panthers home game, which is Carrington Park. Nick, who's got it?
I'm going to have to go to Panthers. I just can't. I can't back the Cowboys again. They've let me down too many times this year. So, as much as it disheartens me,
I would like to not challenge you on that, Nick. Even though I want to challenge you on them, I respect your decision.
Thank you, Hoons. Thank you.
Saturday, 5th of May. First game up: Raiders versus Titans. Hoons, who will win it?
Raiders versus Titans.
Correct. At GIO Stadium.
Yeah, I'll have to go Raiders. Raiders at home. I really like the Titans forward pack, especially that forward pack, Jared Wallace, Ryan James. But I think they're missing a big link in there, and that's Nathan Peets. I've noticed since he's been out, actually it's been unraveling for the Titans. They're not getting quality ball out there. Is it Mitch Rain? I think is the hooker so far. He's done an admirable job, but Nathan Peets just has something. And that something has made him an Origin player. But the Green Machine should win. But hey, this is 2018 NRL. This is the NRL season where tipping can go either way. And I just want to jump back onto that Cowboys. I will be tipping the Cowboys, Nick, but I respect your decision. Yeah, so Raiders for the win at home.
Raiders for Hoons. Now, next game at 5:30 p.m. Mount Smart Stadium. Warriors versus West Tigers. Nick, who will win this big game? And big game.
I'm gonna have to go Warriors. I think I mean, neither team are in good form at the moment. Both, Warriors getting absolutely demolished by the Storm, and Tigers losing to Parramatta, the bottom team right now. They'll both be looking for a bounce back, but I feel as if the Warriors would have more of it in them than the Tigers would. I think Tigers are sort of losing to Parramatta seems like a really big concern to me. And I know Parramatta, won the game the week before, but still, it really alarms me that a team of the Tigers' stature so far this year loses to them. I think Tigers are sort of getting worn down a little bit, not playing as well as what they were at the start, and I think Warriors will be hungry after such a massive loss to the Storm. So,
I feel like that's a game where it could go either way. But with that though, I think we have to both agree though is that the Eels have been really disappointing this year, and especially with the talent that they have. So I would actually prop the Eels up there more than what they have shown. But I see that they're starting to show more fight than my own Cowboys. So.
But even with that, the first half, the Tigers and Parramatta game last week, was sloppy as. Yeah. It was horrible, and I think there was one point there. It was. I'm not confident enough to say the time frame. Would have been in about the last 15 minutes of the first half. Tigers had 0 out of 1 completed sets, and Eagles had 7 out of 7 sets. Almost all of them attacking the line, but still couldn't score. So I mean, neither team impressed me at all there. So I feel as if, and Warriors broke a confident Storm side. They still scored a couple of tries. So, yeah, it just wasn't an impressive performance from the Tigers and on a downhill spiral.
Last game for Saturday night, Sharks versus Eels at Southern Cross Group Stadium, Shark Park. And I will be going for the Eels for this one. I just see that they're starting to click, especially the halves, and that's what they needed. But I just feel that the Eels are on the rise now. After a couple of wins, back-to-back wins, and now they're on their way. And the Sharks were a bit sloppy against the Titans as well. And they've been sloppy all year, actually, as well. So, sorry, Shark fans. I think the Eels might get you in this one. Sunday, big clash. Dragons versus Storm at Jubilee Oval, home of the Dragons. Hoons, what is your tip?
Storm. I think the Storm are showing too much firepower now. Will Chambers has come back into the side over the last 2-3 weeks, and he's so solid. That right side is unbreakable at the moment. Teams are finding it hard to break that side of the field. I noticed that I'm pretty sure that Fussator was the one that scored a couple of tries down the Warriors' right-hand, Storm left-hand side. But Will Chambers has definitely sold that right side up, and teams are finding it hard to score down that right edge. Cameron Smith is Cameron Smith as usual, another future immortal. Billy Slater, the greatest fullback of the modern era, is on fire. And Cameron Munster. Cameron Munster has been unbelievable. He is showing why he is the number 6, well, he's the 5'8" for the Maroons for many years to come. That guy has been actually one of the catalysts of the Storm turnaround this season so far, where they've just picked up the pace. I don't want to discredit the Dragons too much because I do feel that they were unbelievable in that Anzac Day clash. But I just can't. It'd be interesting to see with the pressure that Craig Bellamy and the Storm will put on the Dragons and see how well the Dragons can get out of it. The Roosters and the Storm completely two different teams, two different sides. I can't see it. It'd be interesting to see, but Storm, and that's just because the Storm have been great, and I think the Storm will win.
It'll be a great match of footy.
Yeah. It's a hard tip, like I said.
Yeah.
And last game of the round at Allianz Stadium, Roosters versus Seagulls. Nick, who do you got?
Still the Roosters. I'm at a point now where I'd say Manly's finals hopes are almost at an end. I don't see them pulling themselves out of this slump in any of the next few weeks, and especially against a side like the Roosters. So it seems like an easy tip to me.
Yep, Roosters it is.
Yeah, way easy.
Well, guys, that's our tips for round 9. It's excellent to have you guys listen to us once again. And until next time, Ra, Hoons, and Nick signing off. Later.